The ship came out of the dark like a rising mountain, silent and slow, as if the void itself had decided to take shape. At first, no sensor caught it. No alarm sounded. The patrol ships of the Zelther Empire drifted on their usual path, bored crews watching empty space and whispering complaints about long hours. Then the darkness shifted. A shadow moved against the stars. One pilot blinked and leaned forward, confused, thinking maybe it was just a trick of tired eyes. But it was not a trick. The shadow grew. Lights flickered along a massive hull, cold white lines, sharp angles, metal so dark it absorbed every beam around it. The Zelther ships stopped in place. Their engines cooled. Their weapons froze in their racks. Every alien on every ship felt the same chill run down their spine. Something huge was arriving. Something old. Or maybe something new. Something built by no empire they knew. One officer whispered, voice shaking, "What? What is that?" No one had an answer. The giant ship did not broadcast a code. It did not send a threat. It simply existed in the space before them, dwarfing every ship, every fighter, every destroyer the Zelther Empire had brought. The vessel looked like a black, floating continent, its armor thick and layered, its structure impossible to read. It had the shape of a carrier, but far larger than any carrier known in the galaxy. Its sides carried silent bays large enough to swallow entire fleets. The ship was a city. A fortress. A superweapon. A supercarrier. And yet it remained still. The Zelther commander, an experienced veteran who had seen 4 wars, found his legs weak. His voice cracked as he ordered the fleet into defensive formation. But it was useless. They all knew it. This thing could crush them with one move. A faint light came alive on the massive hull, a soft blue glow sliding across the metal surface like rising dawn. For a moment, every alien held their breath, expecting an activation of weapons, a wave of energy, a blast that would erase them. Instead, the light stabilized, forming a simple symbol. 2 curves. 1 star. One old insignia lost to most of the galaxy. But not lost to history. The commander gasped. That is an Earth symbol. The crew stared at him. Earth? The dead world? The lost home of the humans? The commander nodded slowly, as if afraid to disturb the dark titan before them. Earth went silent centuries ago. No ships. No colonies. No messages. No signs of life. Every empire searched their ruins. Nothing remained. Yet the symbol on the supercarrier's hull was clear, proud, untouched by time. The Zelther fleet began sending frantic messages back to their empire. Other patrol ships joined the panic. Scanners from nearby empires locked onto the region, each detecting the same impossible thing, a colossal human warship where there should be none. Across the galaxy, leaders sat up straight. Generals held their breath. Merchants stopped talking. Pirates turned their ships around and fled. Everyone understood one truth: humans never made anything this big. Humans never had the power to build such a monster of a ship. Not in the old records. Not in the ancient logs. Not even in legends. So if this ship existed, it meant something terrifying. Humanity had not died. Humanity had not vanished. They had gone somewhere else. Somewhere far. Somewhere deep. And they had returned with a weapon, a supercarrier that made every empire tremble. Inside the silent giant, in a control room filled with blue light and humming energy, a single human stood at the command platform. He was rugged, with a short beard and tired eyes. His old flannel shirt was worn at the edges, his camouflage cap pulled low over his brow. His fingers rested lightly on a glowing display as he watched the terrified alien fleet outside. Captain Rowan Hale had not spoken a word in hours. His crew waited behind him, nervous but loyal, their voices quiet, their movement steady. They all felt the tension. They knew every empire now had their eyes locked on them. They knew the galaxy would never be the same. Rowan exhaled slowly. Contact them yet? A young officer shook her head. No sir. They seem scared to open a channel. Scared, Rowan muttered. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. His eyes drifted to the stars beyond the window. All those empires. All those powers. All the ones who once hunted humans. All the ones who once tried to wipe Earth from the maps. Rowan lifted his chin. Bring engines to idle. Keep weapons cold. Make sure they know we're not here to start a war. His crew nodded. Outside, the alien fleet saw the supercarrier shift slightly, turning its massive body with smooth precision. The movement alone was enough to send waves of fear across every ship. Some captains prepared to flee. Others prepared to kneel. The Zelther commander swallowed hard and opened a channel, his voice trembling. Unknown vessel. Identify yourself. For the first time in centuries, a human voice echoed across the galaxy. This is Captain Rowan Hale of the Earth Supercarrier Aegis Eternal. We are returning home. Every empire froze. Because if humanity had carriers like this, if Earth could build such giants, then the balance of the galaxy had already changed. And the humans were just getting started. The words from Captain Rowan Hale spread across the void faster than light could travel. Every empire received the transmission within minutes. Screens across war rooms, trade halls, and palace chambers lit up with the same message: the humans are back. And they did not return quietly. They returned in a ship that made dreadnoughts look small, a ship that carried the presence of an entire lost civilization. No one wanted to believe it at first. Some thought it was a trick, others thought it was a ghost signal. But the image of the Aegis Eternal filled every monitor, a black supercarrier shaped like judgment itself. On the Zelther flagship, the commander tried to stay calm. His scales twitched. His hands shook as he studied the massive hull projected above the table. You expect me to believe this? One of his officers asked. The humans were primitive. They fought with small guns. Their ships were weak. Their fleets were scattered. This thing is impossible. The commander did not answer. He remembered the old stories from veterans long dead. Stories about humans who fought harder than their size, about humans who refused to surrender even when their planets burned. And now those same humans had returned in a ship that no empire could match. The galaxy had changed, and the Zelther Empire was not ready. Inside the Aegis Eternal, Rowan stood silent for a moment after the transmission. His crew looked to him for direction, for guidance, for courage. He felt the weight on his shoulders. Humanity had been gone for centuries. The empires had grown strong. Many had shared one dream: expansion into Earth's old territory. But Rowan was not here to start a fight. Not yet. He watched the alien fleet still sitting in front of them, frozen, too scared to move. Sir, the communications officer said softly, they're asking for confirmation. Rowan raised an eyebrow. Confirmation? She nodded. They want us to prove we're human. Rowan sighed and rubbed his forehead. How do you prove humanity to aliens who've spent the last 500 years thinking we're extinct? Another officer chuckled nervously. We could wave. Rowan gave him a tired look that almost turned into a smile. Let's not. Instead, he tapped a command. The giant carrier pulsed with soft light again. Along the hull, hidden panels shifted. The alien fleet panicked for a moment, expecting weapons, expecting death, expecting fire. But instead of cannons, instead of torpedoes, instead of any known weapon, text appeared. A message. It was simple. In large white letters across the supercarrier's side, it said, "We come in peace." The alien crews stared in confusion. Some blinked. Some tilted their heads. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The Zelther commander leaned in toward his display, squinting. Peace? Humans want peace? One of his younger officers nodded eagerly. Maybe they are friendly. Maybe they wish to trade. Another officer hissed back, or maybe it's a lie. No ship like that is peaceful. No species with that kind of power wants anything simple. The commander sighed deeply. Prepare a second channel. They contacted us first. We must respond. Back on the Aegis Eternal, the screen flashed. Incoming communication. Rowan straightened himself and gave a small nod to his crew. Put it through. The image that appeared was of the Zelther commander, a tall creature with long horns and nervous eyes. He tried to stand proud, but his fear was obvious. Human vessel, the commander said, your presence is unexpected. Rowan answered calmly. We know. Your ship is large. We know that too. The commander swallowed again. What is your purpose here? Rowan paused. In the silence, the crew watched him closely, each breath tight. He could tell them the truth. He could tell them humanity had spent centuries hiding, building, planning. He could tell them humans had been driven from their home, forced into the dark regions beyond mapped space. But those were not answers the galaxy needed yet. So Rowan said, we're returning to our old territories. Earth space. He made his voice steady, firm but not aggressive. We want peace. We want to rebuild. The Zelther commander hesitated. You must understand. The galaxy has changed. Many empires claim parts of what was once human territory. Conflict is possible. Rowan nodded. We expect it. The commander's eyes narrowed slightly. And if conflict happens? Rowan looked at the stars for a moment before answering. Then we will do what we must. The simple answer carried enough weight to shake the alien crew watching behind their commander. Rowan was not boasting. He was not threatening. It was a human truth, a promise spoken quietly. When the channel closed, Rowan turned to his crew. We're not here to start a fight, he reminded them. But if they push us, we stand firm. We don't bow. A murmur of agreement spread through the room. Suddenly, alarms chimed softly through the bridge. Not alarms of danger, alarms of detection. More fleets were arriving. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Ships from every corner of the galaxy. They wanted to see the human supercarrier with their own eyes. They wanted to judge the threat. They wanted to decide what to do next. The Aegis Eternal was surrounded, but Rowan remained calm. He knew this moment was coming. The galaxy was waking up. And they were looking at humans again, with fear, confusion, and curiosity. Rowan breathed out slowly. All right, he said. Let them gather. Because every empire had forgotten what humanity was capable of. Now they would remember. More ships arrived by the minute, slipping out of warp like nervous birds gathering around a sleeping giant. Some were small patrol craft, others were large cruisers with guns ready but not raised. Every empire wanted a look at the legendary human supercarrier. They circled the Aegis Eternal at a cautious distance, whispering across channels, scanning without permission, afraid to get close but even more afraid to leave. The air around the giant ship seemed to thicken with tension. Any wrong move could start a war no one was ready for. Inside the bridge, Rowan Hale watched the growing cluster of alien vessels. They're scared, he said quietly. His tactical officer, a broad-shouldered man with sharp eyes, nodded. They don't know what we can do. Rowan folded his arms. Good. Let them be careful, but we keep everything cold. The crew followed orders, even if their hands shook slightly. The galaxy's eyes were on them, and no one wanted to be the one who made a mistake. Still, the stress in the air was heavy. A soft blue glow pulsed from the supercarrier's walls, a quiet heartbeat of power. The engines hummed like a mountain breathing. A small officer rushed to Rowan with a tablet. Sir, we have over 9 different empires requesting communication. All at once. Rowan rubbed his forehead. They'll need to wait their turn. Start with the closest. A screen opened to show the face of a Turek war priest, his 6 eyes blinking slowly, his voice deep and cold. Human commander, he said, explain why you return now. Explain why you arrive with such a weapon. Rowan answered, we didn't come to start trouble. The war priest tilted his head. Your ship is trouble. Another channel opened. Before Rowan could respond, a voice from the Yith collective spoke over the first. Humans may not claim old space. That territory now belongs to. A third voice cut in. We demand a meeting. Then a fourth. Then a fifth. The bridge filled with overlapping noise from arguing empires. Each wanted answers. Each feared losing power. Each feared what the Aegis Eternal could do. Rowan closed the channels with one decisive move. Enough, he muttered. The bridge fell silent. A communications worker whispered, they're not going to like being cut off. Rowan nodded. They're going to have to deal with it. He turned toward the main screen and pressed a command. A soft pulse of light left the supercarrier, spreading through the fleets outside. It wasn't a weapon, just a signal for attention. Every ship froze, waiting. Rowan spoke into the mic. This is Captain Rowan Hale of Earth. We didn't come here for war. We didn't come here to steal back what we lost. We came here to find our place again, to understand what the galaxy became. His voice was calm, even steady, but it carried a strong weight. If any empire wants peace, we welcome it. If any empire wants conflict, we will survive it. No threat. No roar. Just truth. The fleets remained silent. Some ships powered down their weapons. Others drifted uncertainly. A few crept farther away. Among them was a small research ship from the minor Velarai Republic. Its captain, a young alien scientist named Lumar, watched the human supercarrier with wide, fascinated eyes. He whispered to his crew, they don't speak like conquerors. They speak like survivors. One of his crew members replied softly, "Survivors with a ship that can flatten a world." Lumar nodded but didn't look away. He felt something strange, respect. Back on the Aegis Eternal, Rowan felt a small vibration under his feet, a subtle hum rising through the ship. His crew stiffened. "What is that?" an officer asked. Rowan checked his display. The readings seemed normal at first, but then a wave of energy pulsed from deep within the supercarrier. It was faint, barely noticeable, but ancient. A signal. A call. His heart dropped. No. Not now. The crew looked worried. "Sir?" Rowan stared at the readings. He knew what it meant. The Aegis Eternal was old, far older than the galaxy would ever believe. It wasn't just a ship, it was something built with knowledge that humanity found far beyond explored space. And now something was responding to it. A new signal appeared on their sensors. Weak. Fading in and out like a dying heartbeat, coming from the direction of old Earth territory. The crew watched Rowan as fear and hope mixed on his face. "It's a human signature," he said. Shock spread through the bridge. "You mean another ship?" someone asked. "Maybe," Rowan answered. "Maybe survivors. Maybe a distress call from centuries ago. We don't know." The aliens outside also picked up the signal. Their fleet shifted nervously. Some powered weapons again. They didn't like unknowns. They didn't like surprises. And they didn't like the idea of more human ships. One empire sent a message, "Human vessel, explain this signal." Rowan didn't respond. His eyes stayed locked on the screen. He whispered, "Plot a course." The helm officer blinked. "Sir? Through all those ships?" Rowan nodded. "We're going. Anyone who wants to follow can follow. Anyone who wants to stop us can try." He stood tall, calm, but fire burned behind his eyes. Humanity didn't come back to hide. Set engines to full burn. The giant supercarrier shifted, engines roaring softly. The alien fleets panicked as the impossible ship began to move. And humanity's return was only just beginning. The Aegis Eternal pushed forward with slow, steady power, its engines glowing like rising suns. Alien ships scattered from its path, unsure whether to stand down or prepare for battle. Some captains shouted in anger, others in fear. Many simply moved aside because they knew what would happen if they tried to stop something so massive. The supercarrier glided through the crowd of ships like a silent predator, calm and confident. Inside, Rowan Hale watched the stars shift across the main screen as they changed course toward the faint human signal. His jaw was tight, his eyes narrow. He tried to stay calm, but something heavy pressed against his chest. A human signal should have been impossible. Humanity was gone for hundreds of years, and yet the signal was real, weak, flickering, but unmistakably human. He felt every crew member watching him, waiting to hear something reassuring. "Keep tracking the signal," Rowan said. "Even if it fades. We follow until we know what it is." A navigator nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. Course locked." But as the Aegis Eternal accelerated, a warning symbol flashed on the screen. A Zelther battleship, a war cruiser 3 times larger than a normal destroyer, moved into their path. Its lights glowed red, weapons charged, engines flaring. Rowan sighed. "I knew someone would try." The Zelther commander appeared on the comm screen. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was colder than earlier. "Human vessel, you will stop immediately. You will explain your new signal. You will not enter contested space." Rowan kept his tone even. "Move aside. We don't want conflict." "You don't get to choose." The commander snapped. "This region belongs to the Empire now. If you attempt to pass, we will fire." Rowan turned toward his tactical officer. "Are our shields still cold?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Keep them that way." The officer blinked. "Even if they shoot?" Rowan nodded. "Even then." His crew exchanged worried looks. They trusted him, but no one liked standing undefended in front of a battleship. The Zelther commander's voice rose. "This is your final warning. Stop, or we open fire." Rowan stepped closer to the screen so the alien could see his face clearly. "Commander, listen to me. I respect your position, but I'm not stopping. If you fire, it will be your choice. Not ours. And we won't attack unless you force our hand." The alien's eyes burned with anger. "Humans do not give orders here." A beam of red energy shot from the Zelther cruiser, slamming into the Aegis Eternal's hull. The bridge shook, but only lightly, almost like a mild tremor on old Earth soil. Dust did not even fall from the ceiling. The system lights barely flickered. Rowan looked to the tactical officer. Damage? The officer checked the readings and blinked twice. Sir. The energy didn't even scratch the paint. Rowan exhaled softly. I figured. On the Zelther ship, chaos erupted. Their sensors showed the same impossible result. Their strongest forward cannon had done nothing. No burn. No dent. Nothing at all. The commander shouted at his crew, ordering a second shot. 2 more beams hit the human supercarrier. Again, nothing happened. Rowan tapped a small switch on his console. His voice echoed calmly through space. Zelther commander, your attack has failed. We don't want to destroy you. Move aside. Silence. Then, slowly, the Zelther cruiser drifted downward and cleared the way. Pride was gone. Anger was gone. Only fear remained. Rowan turned to his crew. Proceed. And the Aegis Eternal continued forward. Hours passed. The signal grew stronger but still unstable, like someone trying to shout through water. The ship approached an empty region of space, an area long ignored by all empires. No stations. No patrols. No colonies. It was considered worthless. Dead. Forgotten. But the human signal came from its heart. Rowan felt something colder now, something that made his stomach feel tight. Why here? Why would a human message come from this place? A sensor officer gasped suddenly. Sir, new reading. Something ahead, large object. Extremely large. Rowan straightened. Another ship? No, sir. It's bigger. The screen zoomed in. At first, the shape was hidden in darkness, like a planet at night. But then the light from a distant star touched its surface, revealing metal. Thousands of kilometers of metal. Structures like fractured towers. Wings like broken continents. A wreck. A gigantic wreck. Is that a station? A crew member whispered. Rowan shook his head slowly. No, that's a ship. The bridge went silent. The wreck was even larger than the Aegis Eternal. Its hull was torn apart in places, its engines dead, its outer plates floating like shattered bones. It looked ancient, wounded, forgotten by time. And in its broken heart, the human signal pulsed like a faint heartbeat. One officer whispered the only words anyone could think. Sir. Humans never built anything this big. Rowan stared at the giant corpse of metal drifting before them. No, he said softly. Humans didn't. Which meant something else had. And humanity had found it first. The massive wreck drifted in silence, so huge that even the Aegis Eternal looked small beside it. Its broken hull stretched across the void like the skeleton of a fallen god. Sharp towers rose from its sides, twisted and torn as if something enormous had crushed them. Dark scars ran deep across its metal plates. Whole sections looked melted, like they had been burned by terrible weapons no empire used anymore. The ship did not move. It did not breathe. It only drifted, forgotten and alone. Every crew member on the Aegis Eternal stared in shock. None of them had seen anything like it. Not in records. Not in rumors. Not even in myths. Rowan Hale stood frozen, eyes locked on the colossal wreck. The human signal still came from somewhere inside the dead giant, repeated over and over like a weak message trapped in a loop. His throat tightened. Something inside him whispered that this discovery would change everything. Scan it, Rowan ordered quietly. His officers rushed to obey, hands moving fast across glowing controls. After a moment, the sensor officer frowned in confusion. Sir. This ship isn't made from any metal in our database. It's strange. Stronger than our hull. Much stronger. Another officer added, energy traces detected, but they're old. Very old. Hundreds, maybe thousands of years. Rowan nodded slowly. And the signal? It's definitely human, the officer answered. But it's coming from deep inside the wreck, near the central core. The bridge fell silent again. Human technology inside an ancient, impossible ship? None of it made sense. The communications officer looked up. Sir. We're getting messages from the alien fleets behind us. They want to know what we found. Rowan shook his head. Ignore them. They'll find out eventually. The crew shared nervous looks. Whatever they discovered here, the galaxy would want it. And many empires would want it for themselves. Rowan stepped closer to the screen, studying the wreck's shape. This wasn't built by humans, he said softly. But someone sent a human signal from inside it. A young officer whispered, could it be survivors? Humans who never left this region? Rowan didn't answer. Instead, he gave a quiet command. Prepare a landing team. His officers froze. Sir? One asked. You want to go inside that thing? Rowan nodded. Yes. If there's a human signal in there, we're going to find it. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The ancient wreck looked dangerous, like it would snap shut at any moment. But Rowan's voice remained steady, calm, and commanding. Tactical, Rowan said, send out a drone first. I need to know what's inside. A small launch tube opened under the Aegis Eternal's bow. A scout drone shot forward and zipped through the void, heading toward a large wound in the wreck's side, the remains of a giant hangar bay. The interior swallowed the drone in darkness. The bridge watched the drone's live feed as dim emergency lights flickered across ruined tunnels. Metal beams hung from broken ceilings. Floors were cracked and hollow. Strange symbols glowed faintly along damaged walls. The place felt too old, too quiet, too cold. The drone's small light swept over twisted corridors. Rowan leaned in, eyes narrowing. Stop there. Zoom in. The drone focused on a strange marking burned into a wall. It looked like a spiral wrapped in sharp lines, a symbol no one recognized. What does that mean? The navigator whispered. Nobody answered. The drone floated deeper. Suddenly the feed flickered. Static buzzed. The picture shook violently. Signals breaking up. The operator shouted. The drone's camera spun wildly as if something had shoved it. Then the feed went dark. Rowan's fists tightened. Recover the drone. No response, sir. It's gone. The room fell into a heavy silence. The wreck was not empty. Something inside was active. Rowan took a deep breath. Suit up. Several officers stared. Sir, that is not wise. We don't know what's inside, another added. Rowan looked at each one of them, his voice steady. Exactly. And we need to. He turned toward the exit doors. Prep a team of 6. Full armor. Lights. Tools. And a signal beacon. The crew moved quickly now, trusting him even if fear pulled at their steps. Minutes later, Rowan stood in the drop bay wearing a reinforced exploration suit. His flannel shirt wasn't visible beneath the armor, but he still wore his old camouflage cap tucked under the helmet plate. He grabbed a handheld scanner and clipped it to his chest. A young officer approached nervously. Captain. What do you think we'll find in there? Rowan sighed softly. I don't know. But whoever sent that human signal. They need us. The drop doors opened, revealing the massive wreck looming like a metal corpse. A cold shiver passed through everyone. It felt like they were staring into the mouth of an ancient beast. Rowan stepped forward with his team behind him. Let's go, he said. Their small shuttle detached from the Aegis Eternal, drifting silently toward the giant hangar of the unknown ship. Alien fleets watched from afar, unable to get close, unable to see clearly, but knowing humanity was entering something dangerous and powerful. Rowan's shuttle slipped into the darkness. Inside, the air felt old, like dust from forgotten time. And far in the depths of the broken ship, the faint human signal pulsed one last time. Then stopped. The shuttle drifted into the enormous hangar like a tiny insect entering the ribs of a dead titan. Rows of broken platforms floated in the dark, each one covered with dust and strange markings. As the team's lights cut through the shadows, long shapes appeared, machines half melted, half crushed, all far beyond human understanding. Nothing inside looked familiar. Everything felt ancient. And everywhere, the walls seemed to whisper quietly, carrying echoes of battles long forgotten. Rowan Hale stood at the front of the team, his boots landing softly on the cracked metal floor. Even through the suit, the cold felt deep, as if the ship itself was breathing frost. Check your gear. Stay close, he said. His voice was steady, but inside he felt a slow, growing unease. The team fanned out slightly, scanning the hangar. Their helmet lights made small circles in the darkness. One soldier pointed to a giant claw-shaped arm buried in debris. Captain. This doesn't look like a normal ship. It looks like it was alive. Rowan studied the shape. It did look organic, metal shaped like bone, tubes like veins. But no creature would be this big. Whatever it is, Rowan said, something powerful built it. The team continued deeper. The ship groaned softly as they walked, metal shifting in slow echoes that sounded almost like breathing. A tall doorway lay ahead, twisted but still open. Strange symbols glowed faintly around the edges, pulsing with a sickly blue light. "Power is still running," one officer whispered. "But that's impossible." Rowan stepped through the doorway and froze. The hallway beyond looked like a throat, tall, narrow, lined with ribs of black metal. His scanner beeped softly. "The human signal came from down here," Rowan said. "Let's keep going." They moved slowly, carefully. Every step felt heavy. At times, the ship whispered again, a soft hum, almost musical, like something remembering how to wake up. The deeper they went, the stronger the feeling grew that the ship wasn't dead at all. Only sleeping. Suddenly, Rowan raised a hand. "Stop." The team froze. A low, rhythmic sound echoed from ahead. Tap. 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 Steady. Gentle. Like someone knocking. One of the soldiers whispered, "Captain. Tell me that's not footsteps." Rowan didn't answer. He stepped forward carefully, weapon low but ready. The tapping stopped. Silence rushed in, heavy and thick. Then the sound came again, one single tap, right behind them. The whole team spun around, weapons aimed, lights flaring. Nothing. Not a shadow. Not a shape. Just the empty metal hallway. Rowan frowned. His voice dropped low. "We're not alone in here." The team tightened formation. The air felt colder now, thick with tension. A faint breeze brushed past them in a place that had no wind. "Captain," the scanner officer whispered, "I'm picking up movement. But it's not clear. It's all around us." The ship groaned again, longer this time, almost like a sigh. Then lights flickered along the walls, waking one by one in a slow wave. The entire hallway brightened with a sickly glow. "Everyone calm," Rowan said. "We stay together." They reached a large chamber at the end of the corridor. The room was circular with a deep pit in the center. Strange cables hung like vines from the ceiling. At the bottom of the pit lay a small object. Metal, smooth, and very out of place compared to the alien structure around it. Rowan climbed down carefully. The object was covered in dust. He wiped it away with a glove, a human military beacon. His breath caught. "This is ours." The team above gasped softly. Rowan turned the small device over slowly. The beacon was still warm. Still active. Recently used. But there were no signs of life nearby. "Someone placed this here," he whispered. But as he looked closer, he saw something carved into the beacon's side. A name. He froze. "Hail." The blood drained from his face. His hands shook. The team above stared down at him. "Captain? What is it?" Rowan swallowed hard. "This beacon belonged to my brother." Shock rippled through the team. Rowan's brother had vanished centuries ago, back when humanity first disappeared from known space. No trace. No record. But now his name was carved on a beacon lying inside an ancient alien ship. Suddenly the lights in the chamber flared bright, blinding everyone. The ship groaned and shook. The floor vibrated with heavy, slow pulses like a heartbeat trying to restart. "Captain," someone shouted. "Something's powering up." The walls glowed brighter, symbols lighting in rapid patterns. A deep voice, ancient and metallic, echoed through the chamber in a language no human had ever heard. The sound shook the air, rumbling with power. Rowan grabbed the beacon and climbed out of the pit. "We need to move. Now." The team sprinted back into the hallway. Behind them, the chamber's walls shifted and twisted, closing like jaws around empty space. The tapping sound returned, loud now. Fast. Multiple points. Like many feet running along the walls. "What is that?" a soldier yelled. Rowan kept running. "Don't look. Move." The ship roared with ancient energy. Something was waking. Something that had waited a long time. They reached the hangar just as the floor beneath them shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The darkness behind them pulsed with growing light. The shuttle doors opened automatically as if sensing danger. The team jumped inside, and Rowan leapt last. Launch. The shuttle shot out of the hangar just as a massive, blinding light filled the wreck behind them. The entire ancient ship groaned like a beast opening its eyes for the first time in ages. On the Aegis Eternal, alarms exploded as a massive energy surge appeared behind them. Rowan held the beacon tightly, his voice low and shaken. "My brother was here." And whatever lived inside that ship might still be hunting. The moment the shuttle burst out of the ancient wreck, the void behind it lit up like a newborn star. Blinding white light flashed across space, forcing alien fleets to pull back and shield their sensors. The Aegis Eternal's alarm screamed through its halls. Rowan Hale and his team held their breath as the shuttle raced toward the carrier. The giant wreck trembled behind them, glowing brighter with every passing second. "Open bay doors," Rowan shouted. The supercarrier responded instantly. Massive steel doors slid apart, exposing the landing hangar. The shuttle flew through them at dangerous speed. As soon as it touched down, robotic arms latched onto it, securing it in place. Rowan leapt out with his team right behind him. His steps were shaky. His suit was scratched, dented, and covered in dust from the alien ship's interior. He held the beacon in both hands, gripping it so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Get us out of here," Rowan yelled. The Aegis Eternal's engines roared. The ship pulled away from the ancient wreck. But something changed. The wreck moved. On the screen, the colossal dead ship began to shift, pieces sliding into place like bones waking after a long sleep. The faint lights along its torn hull grew brighter. Deep cracks began to glow red. The bridge crew stared in horror. That thing is powering up," an officer whispered. Another officer scanned the wreck and gasped. "Sir, energy levels are rising fast, faster than anything we've ever seen." A sharp pulse shot from the ancient ship, echoing through space. Alien fleets panicked, scattering like frightened birds. Some fired warning shots. Most fled immediately. None wanted to be near whatever was waking inside that giant corpse. Rowan forced himself to breathe slowly. He walked onto the bridge, struggling to steady his heartbeat. "Status?" "Engines charged," the helm officer said. "We can leave any time." "Do it." The Aegis Eternal surged forward, distancing itself from the wreck. But the giant shape behind them kept glowing brighter. Its outer plates fell away as internal structures shifted. Towers snapped into new positions. Light carved along its surface in sharp patterns. The sensor officer's voice trembled. "Captain, this ship isn't waking randomly. It's reacting to something." Rowan closed his hand around the human beacon. "It's reacting to this." He placed the beacon on the main control table. Its small blue light pulsed in time with the energy from the wreck. "Sir," a young officer whispered, "what does the writing on it say?" "Your brother's name. Does that mean he was inside that ship?" Rowan's voice was tight. "He disappeared centuries ago. Our people thought he died. But this proves he came into contact with that thing." The room fell silent. Every crew member felt the same weight settle on them. Then the ancient wreck gave off a deep, powerful sound, like a roar stretched across light years. The Aegis Eternal trembled. The lights flickered. "Sir," the tactical officer shouted. "Something is coming out of the wreck, small object, moving fast." Rowan's head snapped toward the screen. A tiny pod shot out from a hole in the wreck's side. It moved erratically, drifting like it was damaged, but heading directly toward the Aegis Eternal. "Bring it aboard," Rowan ordered. Moments later, the small pod entered their hangar. Rowan and a team rushed down as it cracked open. Inside was a small metal container, old but human-made. Rowan opened it slowly. Inside was a data drive. The entire hangar held its breath as Rowan plugged it into a portable reader. The device hummed softly. Then a voice played. A human voice. "Rowan. If you're hearing this, then the ship has awakened. I don't know how long it slept, or how long I've been gone. But listen to me. The wreck you found is not just a ship. It's a prison. A cage built to hold something old. Something dangerous. Something that survived the end of many civilizations." Rowan's breath caught in his throat. He recognized the voice. It was older, strained, but definitely his brother. "Elias," he whispered. Elias continued, voice weak and fading. "I tried to shut it down. I failed. If it wakes completely, it will search for the ones who released it. It will hunt. It will not stop. Rowan. Don't let it reach human space. Don't let it follow you home." The message ended with a sound, something heavy banging against metal, followed by a shout, then silence. The crew froze. Rowan stood still for a long moment before he spoke. "We're leaving. Now." The Aegis Eternal turned sharply, engines flaring. Behind them, the ancient ship groaned and shifted, breaking apart as more light spilled from its core. Alien fleets twisted in panic, unsure whether to flee or attack. Rowan whispered, "Full burn. Get us into slipspace." The supercarrier leapt forward, space bending around it. The view behind them narrowed into a distant glow. Just as they slipped into faster-than-light travel, a final pulse flashed from the wreck. A signal. Not human. Not any known language. But aimed directly at the Aegis Eternal. The crew stared at the readings. "Sir. It marked us," the sensor officer whispered. Rowan closed his eyes, gripping the beacon tight. "Then we'll make our stand on our terms." The supercarrier vanished into the slipstream, carrying humanity's last hope, and humanity's new enemy, toward the future. The galaxy watched in silence. Because humanity had returned. And so had something far older.